Welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Vaggie.
And we are here to watch every ghost-type Pokemon.
Yep. And that's all the explanation that is needed.
So if you didn't check out our New Year's Eve episode, you might be a little bit surprised to see us looking like this. I mean, not if you believe that we are Charlie and Vaggie.
Yeah.
But I won the Death Battle bet. And so I was allowed to pick out the costumes for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And this is what I chose.
And I wanted to feel pretty, so.
And he does. He does look very pretty.
I do. Okay. You ready to do this?
I'm ready.
Every ghost-type Pokemon explained by Loxton and Noggin. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Ghost-type Pokemon are spooky and mysterious,
Yeah.
and it would be challenging, if not impossible, to explain their essence with science. So today we are going to explain what kind of ghosts each of the ghost-type Pokemon are, or what their inspirations are. And it should be noted that in Pokemon, being a certain type doesn't necessarily mean a Pokemon is that thing. The best example being Rock and Steel-type Pokemon. Some Rock and Steel-type Pokemon aren't actually made of rock or steel. Rather, they may just have an outer shell that is as hard as rock or
I
as
know that
hard
'cause we
as
saw your
steel,
videos.
hence the typing. So, some of these ghost Pokemon may not actually be ghosts, but just have some
Bumblebee
ghost-like
ghost?
properties. But without further ado, let's answer the question.
And like classic
what
style with the sheet.
kinds of ghosts are the Pokemon, and which ones are not ghosts?
I like that.
And
Yep.
where else to start
Good
but
thing.
the original ghost? Ghastly, coming from gas and ghastly, meaning frighteningly ugly, and even ghast, a type of ghost. Seems obvious. It's based on a ghast. But it's not quite that simple. Ghast was never clearly defined as any sort of being. And it shows in various other mediums. Ghasts in Minecraft, for example, share this spooky, ghostly theming, but ghasts in Dungeons and Dragons are just more powerful ghouls. As
awesome.
are ghasts in Final Fantasy. No, rather, despite
cool.
the name, Ghastly more closely resembles a will-o'-the-wisp, or a ghost light, the Japanese equivalent being an onibi. These spirits come in many forms and designs, but most commonly are gaseous spirit flame balls, sometimes with a face inside. Haunter, then, is a ghost which literally haunts, and it has an affinity for
Pretty
licking
straightforward.
others with its gaseous tongue. This aspect may mean it's based on a Dila from Philippine mythology, a monstrous spirit with a long vampiric tongue, which also
God.
licks things constantly. But Haunter also has design elements that point to it being based on a specter, a specific type of ghost known for being one of the types which haunt most actively. Rather than being a lost soul or wandering spirit, specters seek out victims to haunt and tend to be portrayed with evil faces and creepy hands. This is especially hitting as Haunter's name in French is literally Spectre. Gengar's name is frequently said to be from Doppelganger, a German-English word for a ghostly double, or someone who just looks like you through supernatural
Gengar looks like he's
means.
having fun being
And
evil.
while Gengar is the most
yeah.
humanoid of its evolution chain, thanks to the feet, that wouldn't be a terrible conclusion. But Gengar may also come from the Japanese gen, meaning phantom or illusion, or the Dutch Gengar. This word, meaning revenant, a visible ghost or animated corpse that is believed to have been revived from death to haunt the living, and most often takes the form of a person. The word Gengar also comes from root words meaning to walk again, and specifically
I
refers
try
to
to pronounce
feet
words.
and walking, which Gengar adds to this evolutionary line.
He just looks so
Which
happy.
brings us to Trevenant,
does.
which based on the name, which is perfectly fitting,
Trevenant.
would also be a revenant, though one that is taking the form of a tree. When you consider Trevenant's origins as a rotten tree stump that the spirit of a lost child possessed and then became a phantom,
Whoa.
which floats, it makes
Okay.
a good bit of sense that its next evolution gains feet, as being a revenant means to literally walk again, from child to grown tree. Phantom then is a phantom, as the name suggests.
Phantom.
Or is it? Well, today, phantom
That's a
is
great
used
name.
as another word for a generic ghost. Phantoms tend to be more illusionary
I'm
than
sorry,
actually
what?
there, be it there physically or even spiritually. As such, phantoms
Where's that
have no
from?
will of their own. They are just something to be sensed. They are seen as an illusionary spell, or are golems made of ectoplasm, the material that ghosts are supposedly made of. But none of those fit with phantom, so phantom here may be simply due to the generic nature of the word. And so we turn to the
Love a name,
Japanese
Phantom.
name of phantom, Bokure, meaning wood spirit, and an alternate way of saying kodama. A kodama is a small tree spirit. Some say they are spirits which reside in trees.
They're tweaking out.
Oh, they're all
Others say
tweaking
they
out.
are the spirits of the trees themselves.
Oh, no,
and
thank
if their home forest
Yeah.
is threatened, they may curse whomever is attacking it, much like how Trevenant will curse those who cut trees in its territory. And having mentioned a golem once, let's cover Golett and Golurk next. Both are clearly golems, entities from Hebrew mythology. While originally made of clay, fantasy has expanded them to being capable of being made of anything. Rocks, armor, buildings, fire, all kinds of goodies. Just add some spirit energy to some runes scratched into an object, and you're good to go. Let's cover the other ghost ground type while we're at it, Sandygast. Literally a sandy ghast.
It's
Though,
like a
as we covered
sandcastle?
in the beginning, ghast has become more
That's been, like,
of
melted?
another general term for ghosts and ghouls. Rather, in the case of Sandygast and its evolution Palosand, we have a spirit which more closely resembles an earth elemental or sand golem. There may have also been inspiration from the Hawaiian ghost crab, a crab that can change its color for camouflage to appear invisible and often buries itself in the sand and drags down any prey that stumbles near it, just like these Pokemon that so far are only found in Alola, which is based on Hawaii. And I mean, ghost crab, duh. Otherwise, it's just a generic spirit with an affinity for the earth element, an earth elemental, if you will. Now, from a ghost deep underground to one high in the sky, Drifloon and Drifblim. Both of these Pokemon are based on floating objects, a balloon and a blimp, or hot air balloon. And both of their Pokedex entries state that for the most part, they are just wandering around, drifting from place to place, wherever the winds happen to take them. Drifloons will sometimes try to take children along with them, but more often than not, they get taken by the children places, just drifting along. These aspects fit with the wandering spirit type of ghost, usually the soul of someone who has died unknowingly. Now, they aimlessly wander wherever it was that they died, or wherever their spirit happens to float to, just like these Pokemon, aimlessly drifting where the air flows. Another floaty ghost, Misdreavus, brings us back into the spook zone. This Pokemon is known for scaring people by suddenly appearing and wailing loudly. Feeds off their fear.
Like a banshee?
Misdreavus may be a combination of various types of ghosts. Let's start with the Rokurokubi or Nukekubi. They appear as floating heads of maidens at night and drain blood for sustenance. They also are known for causing quite the fright by screaming loudly, which gets their victims' hearts pumping faster. Easier to get blood from them. But another possibility is the Longsuyar in Indonesian mythology. It's a female revenant that is able to detach her head and have it fly around. Misdreavus then evolves into Mismagius, a sort of ghostly mage, witch hat and all. And besides the added witch and magic spellcrafting theme, Mismagius still is basically a wailing revenant based on the Langsuyar. And speaking of witches, a common theme during Halloween, let's move on to jack-o'-lanterns with Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist, both of which are based on jack-o'-lanterns, which were initially said to be placed outside of your house to keep bad spirits away, ward them off during the autumn months when they are at their strongest. In the case of these Pokemon, it is said that they have spirits trapped inside of their gourd after they happened to wander in there. And then Geist from Gourgeist comes from Geist, or Poltergeist, a specific type of ghost known for haunting a specific person or family. And they tend to be loud and have telekinesis. But besides Gourgeist being said to sing its curses, nothing seems to scream Gourgeist actually being a poltergeist. So the word Geist or Geist here may again be used merely in its generic ghostly form. Another part of Halloween is, of course, costumes. And who could possibly best the costume by Mimikyu? It's like those ghost costumes made out of bed sheets. Mimikyu is a little ghost fairy that gets jealous of all of the love and attention Pikachus get. So it made its own costume and now wears it around. It's pretty cute. We do get to see what they look like under the costume in the anime, but it's just a black cloud with sparkly eyes. But it is also said that those who see its true form become overwhelmed with terror and die. Well, that escalated quickly. While Mimikyu does not directly reference any ghosts immediately, it does pull from various eldritch horrors. A common trope for these horrors is that they are beings from another plane of existence, a higher dimension, and our minds are incapable of understanding them. So if we were to ever see the true form of it, our brains would break, our minds crack, and it's very likely we would go insane or even die. Just like the true form of Mimikyu. you. After all, some say ghosts exist in a parallel plane to our own, another dimension, per se. Another Pokemon, or rather Ultra Beast, which has inspirations in the Eldritch,
Counts a clown.
is UB Burst, Blacephalon. I have a whole video explaining this connection here, but long story short, it may be inspired by the popular horror monster Pennywise the Clown, which
he was
has
a
its
clown.
inspirations in mind-blowing eldritch myths from another realm. Giratina is also from another realm, the Distortion World, a world of antimatter and shifting gravity, a world where our laws of physics don't apply, much like a spirit world. In fact, being a ghost would also mean you don't have to listen to gravity, which may be where Giratina's ghost type comes from, because other than that explanation, there isn't much else to go on. It has ghost properties, but it is not actually a ghost. Marshadow is a little martial artist that lives inside of shadows, sinking and dwelling within them. This, along with its more humanoid shape, makes it reminiscent of a shadow person, a mysterious type of ghost or shade that are often just fleeting shadows we see in our peripherals, never truly in direct sight. And as some say, they are the cause of sleep paralysis as they approach. Hoopa is very reminiscent of a Jinn, a Middle Eastern spirit elemental similar to a genie. They are not necessarily good or evil, but they do tend to be mischievous and meddle in human affairs, just like Hoopa. Lunala is the Pokemon emissary of the moon, and she devours light, which is a very spooky and common trait of various ghosts. Though I'm inclined to believe that Lunala is not a ghost herself, but rather has ghostly powers. In cultures and mythologies all over the world, the moon rules over the spirit realm, and an eclipse opens a portal to the spirit world, a world that would be ruled over by an entity like Lunala. And when the moon comes out, the lights come on. Litwick is a haunted candle, which is a very common trope in horror stories that take place in mansions. Same goes for haunted lamps and chandeliers, with lampant and chandelure. Their blue ghostly flames reveal their origins as either will-o'-the-wisps or hitodamas, little blue fires that burn their spirit away, or the spirits of others. But for a more modern approach to lighting, perhaps a Rotom could help, an electric ghost able to go into the circuits of electronics and control them. Basically, a small electronic poltergeist. The Honage line is another line of ghosts inside of objects,
that's what Herbie is.
but this time, it's spirits of warriors from long ago taking over their swords. Very straightforward here. Delmise is the same, a sailor who died at sea and whose spirit was trapped at the bottom of the ocean. It then possessed seaweed and began grabbing the parts from a sunken ship. Also in these deep depths are Frillish and Jellicent, two more Pokemon which I believe are not actually ghosts, but rather jellyfish with ghost properties. They are said to live around sunken ships and will sink boats
jellyfish looks like he has a big
themselves,
mustache.
and that their bodies
It
are
does.
made mostly of water. Their ghost attributes they have are likely because of these watery bodies. They can almost phase through things as if they were ghosts because they are mostly, if not entirely, liquid. And from the ocean we arise to the Alolan Islands. Alolan Marowak is a step above that of a normal Marowak. Rather than just sulking in the loss of its mother, it gains a vengeful spirit and ghost powers to go with it, as ghostly flames that cannot be put out form on the ends of its bone. Its vengeful spirit burns, and burns at the souls of others. The ghost
Twirls it
form
like a
or
baton.
sensu style of Oricorio has the bird dance as a traditional Japanese fan dancer, a dance which not always but fairly often enough would be used as a means of respecting one's ancestors, hence the ghost typing. There may also be an aspect of Japanese spirit mediums involved here, someone who can conjure up ghosts, meaning Oricorio isn't a ghost itself, but again, has ghost abilities. And the same goes for another Alolan bird. Decidueye is based on the Pueo owl, a Hawaiian owl which is a symbol of many ancestral spirits. Also, owls are said to be able to fly as ghosts in the night, flying without making a single sound. Quite the ghostly ability. On top of this, deciduous trees, what
Looks like Robin Hood.
Decidueye's name is based on, are the trees that die in the winter, but like a ghost, come back. And from three not ghosts, we now go on to what is most certainly a ghost, Spiritomb. It is said that Spiritomb is a conglomeration of 108 spirits trapped inside of a keystone, which is inspired from a Chinese legend where 108 demons are sealed inside of a keystone. Pretty on the nose there, Game Freak. Another obvious spirit is Yamask, a Pokemon said to be a ghost risen from the grave. It carries a mask of the face that it once wore power while alive, and it retains at least one memory from its life. It's based loosely on the Egyptian Ba, the spirits to come out of your tomb when you die. This Egyptian root makes more sense when you consider Yamask's evolution, Cophaegregus, which is obviously an Egyptian sarcophagus with accursed ghostly arms coming out of it.
Basically the same
Pretty
thing.
straightforward. Then from the dry deserts to the frozen forests, we have Frostlass, which is directly a Yuki-onna, an ice spirit taking the form of a woman from Japanese folklore.
Frostlass looks like
hence
they have
the
a secret.
Japanese-looking garb. And speaking of garb,
They're not gonna say.
Shuppet is a little ghost with a small black
Shuppet?
sheet over it. It resembles a Teruteru Bozu, a
Great
little
name.
Japanese spirit charm. Shuppet also feeds off of negative emotions, which is a common trope among various forms of yokai, Japanese spirits. Bayonet is said to be a doll that was discarded and forgotten, and it now seeks revenge against its owner. This would make it a Tsukomagami, a yokai that was once a tool or a toy, an inanimate object that came to life due to strong spiritual emotions within it. Sableye is based on the Hopkinsville Goblin, an American alien sighting that is extremely popular in Japan for some reason. It eats gems and lives in caves, and it seems like it itself is not a ghost. However, it is said to be able to pull spirits from bodies, so
wow.
it has its fair share of spirit powers. Shedinja is another interesting one, as there is no clear answer. It's based on the leftover shell from a cicada, but it also gains a halo. Some have said it resembles a guardian angel, and it was the armor of the bug beforehand, or perhaps this is the husk of a lifeless body wanting a soul, as it is said that if you look into the hole in its back too long, your soul will be absorbed into it, which is similar to the Duskull line, or at least its evolutions. But as for Duskull itself, it's pretty much the ghostliest of the ghosts. It is able to phase through
Looks like something
walls and
from a
hide
Mario
in
game.
shadows. It also loves to scare people. It fits the shadow ghost category perfectly. Its evolution Dusclops is hollow, just wrappings around a void, and it is said that it absorbs will-o'-the-wisps and other such ghosts.
Shoot out outside.
And if you were to see inside of Dusclops, your soul would be absorbed too. Being vaguely mummy-like, it may be inspired from the idea of a mummy's curse. If you open its tomb and look inside, you will die shortly after. Perhaps even the empty husk of the body casing is looking for a soul to fill it. Perhaps yours will do. Then its evolution Dusk Noir is also very similar to a shadow ghost, though it is known for finding lost souls, absorbing them, and then taking them home to the spirit realm and releasing them,
that's
helping
nice.
them find
Yeah.
their way. This then makes Dusk Noir the Grim Reaper of Pokemon. People often make the Grim
Whoa.
Reaper out to be a scary antagonist, but really, it's just there to help you
That was
find your way to
awesome
the spirit
representation
world.
of the Grim
It's
Reaper.
your time. Grimmy will help. And interestingly, this dangly blip on Dusk Noir is an antenna, as Dusk Noir is able to read radio waves coming from the spirit world. Many ghost chasers will use radio signals to detect where ghosts are, after all. So, now you know all about the origins and inspirations
Yay.
of the ghost-type Pokemon, and why they happen to be ghost-type, and how some of them aren't actually ghosts at all, but rather just have some ghost powers. It's pretty neato. So go tell your friends, show them this video. They'll be glad you did. And why not help support this channel to keep it going? Loads of links in the description, all sorts of options. Thank you so much. And until next time, please remember to never stop using that noggin.
I think this was maybe my favorite type of Pokemon so far, the ghost ones. I really enjoyed this video. It's got Shuppet in it, and Punkaboo. I love the names.
Yeah, I had the exact same thought, actually. I think this is my favorite grouping of all of the Pokemon. I just, of course, I love the idea of the mythology element, the supernatural. Loved Shuppet. Loved the idea of it being like those things that we basically used to make in like kindergarten or first grade or something around Halloween time. Definitely the Mimikyu.
Mimikyu, yeah.
I thought that was like, it started out very cute. Like the name Mimikyu is cute, and like he looks like sort of a distorted Pikachu, so like he's adorable.
Yep.
But then as like the lore behind him unravels, it gets very unsettling.
Yeah, it's like he's wearing the skin of Pikachu.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was creepy looking. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm less familiar with it, but like the Eastern like ghost stories and like ghouls and everything like that are just more fascinating than Western ones. Like I said, I think it's probably just because I'm more familiar with it.
Yeah, I mean they are exotic to us.
Yeah.
So that makes them incredibly interesting. And I have a book on Japanese mythology. So if I find some good ghost stories, I'll make sure to pass them on to you.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. The Egyptian one, both the like first version and then the evolution. I'm fascinated by ancient Egypt. I always have been. So like any connection there, I always particularly enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So that one stuck out for that reason. And then I think the like detachable screaming maiden head thing, that was crazy.
I was getting out of control here. He's tickling my nose. I don't know how girls do it.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting one as well. Again, like it looked so cute at the start, but then like, oh, it sneaks up behind you in the night and screams. You're like, whoa, okay, a little bit less cute, a little more scary. And then the lore, the whole idea of like the revenants with like floating heads, either the head being the whole thing or like the revenant whose head can detach and fly about. Like either way, very unsettling. Also
like the one with like that was 102 souls or 108 souls within it. I thought that was a cool look. And I mean, he said it was a little on the nose because like they basically like took exactly that mythology to make the Pokemon. But like I still thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Let us know which ones are your favorite down below in the comments, and make sure to check out our playlist for all of our Pokemon reactions if you need to catch up. And thanks so much for checking out our reaction for Pokemon, all ghosts, but you keep in mind
that our reaction is definitely not definitive. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everybody!
Have a great 2025.
Yeah.
Bucky's wishing you Happy New Year too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you?